Let's move on then to the PhD project conference and fair itself. Our objectives is to increase the number of PhDs qualified. And we're saying South Africans and permanent residents because, as I say, while we also see ourselves as playing an important role on the continent, at government level, there's a commitment to spend up to 5% of resources on the SADC countries, for example. We have to, given again our history, we have to focus on South Africans and permanent residents. We want to provide support networks for potential PhD candidates. We want to increase the number of role models, and we want to contribute towards creating an equitable workforce. We know that there are numerous challenges. Funding, for example, the training capacity in the system, employment and career opportunities, the perception that the PhDs are overqualified, and we can't deal with all of this here today. What we're focusing is on you, on getting you to think about your PhD if you haven't considered doing one yet, and to get you prepared, and better supported to finish this PhD. We've modeled the South African PhD project on the American PhD project, largely because at the time that this project was initiated, we had a CEO that had been involved with this project in the USA. But there are other countries that have similar projects. And in the USA, this PhD project is supported by the private sector, who don't employ the PhD graduates. But their interest was in increasing the representativity of minority groups in the universities so that there would be more role models for these minority groups to pursue studies and postgraduate studies in these disciplines. And from that, they saw a 170% increase in the minority university professors. And they also saw less than a 10% dropout in the PhDs compared with 25% average across the states. So that is what we also want to achieve. We want to see more people graduating. We want to see people graduating at a younger age. We want to see a lower dropout. And if you're interested in that, there's a website there that you can look at. So the way we've structured this conference and fair is we have various representatives there, and I've mentioned many of these. Of course, we have our speakers that make the conference. We have you, the delegates. We have invited students. We have sponsors, exhibitors, international partners. And we have in past years had one single national conference, and we've had as many as 60 exhibitors. We've now moved to regional, and we've had fewer exhibitors, but nevertheless, it's still going to be of great value to you. We also have a website which is intended to be an information hub, to be able to give you access to opportunities, information that you wouldn't otherwise have had, and also to use this portal as an opportunity for you to start interacting with each other, with mentors, with the institutions that are training. We also intend to create doctoral student forums, and as you know, when we're talking about creating any kind of grouping of people to engage with each other, to get people physically together is firstly costly and challenging time-wise. So we're wanting to create virtual groups under these various disciplines: the social sciences, humanities, the natural sciences, maths and engineering, and economics and management sciences. And we're going to have the economics and management sciences launched, I think it's in January, at an international conference that's being hosted at Gibbs. Now, we also, through this project, aim to establish a number of international partnerships so that we can facilitate training opportunities internationally. We know we don't have the capacity to train fivefold PhDs, increase in PhDs in the country, and our thinking is that we would have possibly 1/3 of the people studying full-time in South Africa, 1/3 studying through what we call sandwich programs. You spend a period of time training internationally, and some of the people training full-time abroad. That, of course, is dependent on human resources and, on financial resources, and that is our challenge right now. With the economic downturn, it's not so easy to tap into funding for full-time studies abroad, but as this project rolls out, we're certainly looking at how can we mobilize resources. So while we don't have the resources, we're looking at how can we have international partnerships that can facilitate access to training opportunities. We also, in the past, what we've had is the odd person that gets an odd scholarship and goes and studies, and then that person says, I'm not coming back home, I can't find a job. So what we're also doing is in the way the PhD programs are directed, they're directed towards areas in which we need those capacity and resources in the country. Not entirely, but largely. Now, there are some common myths about a PhD, and we want to bust these myths. And the first one says, you must be very smart, be a genius. Most supervisors would tell you that they would have, obviously, if you just scraped a 50%, you will battle with postgraduate studies. And I think you know that yourself. So when funders screen for awarding bursaries, if you just scraped a 50%, you're not going to get the option. So what do? And what do you say to the people that are coming behind you? Work and do the best you can so that you can better prepare yourself for postgraduate studies. So it's 99% perspiration. And if you are in the middle of the range student, it doesn't mean that you can't get the PhD. You must have lots of money. That's not true. The reality is that being a full-time PhD student, not just in South Africa, but internationally, you just have enough money to survive. In our country, historically, the bursaries have been set at very low levels, and we're working towards increasing those values so that you don't have to go and have a side waitress job or focus on a part-time job in order to survive. We know all the challenges the majority of the people have given the backgrounds that we come from. So yes, you will have, while you're a full-time graduate student, you're going to have less money, but when you enter the job market, you're going to enter into a higher salary bracket. Now, lastly, I did say that too many people were getting their PhDs in their 40s, and we want to swing that and see the majority of people getting their PhDs at 30. But it is never too late. So for those of you that I've managed to convince that this is the way to go, you could probably also convince your parents to do the PhDs together with you. And I leave you with these last words, and that it might be insane to live with a dream, but it's just sheer madness to live without one. Thank you, colleagues.